Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about all things maintenance, especially preventative maintenance, to make sure that your houseboat is running like a dream. Now, I know this might not be the most fun or enjoyable topic, but doing these annual preventative maintenance things can make sure that this is the difference between a happy day out on the lake or feeling like you're stuck in the mud. So sit back, relax, get ready to learn, and we're going to teach you all about preventative maintenance. Owning a houseboat, or really any boat in general, can be a great way to get out on the water, enjoy time with family and friends. And since we have spring coming right around the corner, some of these items that we're going to talk about today are something that you're probably going to want to start taking care of yourself right now. And if you can't do it yourself, get ahead of the list because it's probably going to be pretty long if you wait until the last minute. A rule of thumb about boat maintenance, and especially houseboat maintenance, is to budget about 10% of the annual cost per year. We've subtracted our boat payment, slip payment, gas, maintenance, and other items. And in 2022, we budgeted about $6,050 for preventative maintenance and what I like to call the black swan unknown costs. Everyone probably has their own way of categorizing maintenance, and the way that we do it is the first item is washing and detailing. The second one is winterizing, and the third and final one is the preventative maintenance and black swan things that we're going to talk about in more detail later in the video.
We tend to fix things immediately, but we will admit that we do have some things on our to-do list, like the top deck fan that's been broken since last summer, and the master head is broken, which might be my fault. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then we also have some cracks on our top deck that have been growing a little bit bigger over the past couple of months of the cold weather, so we definitely need to get on top of that and fix that soon. And really, when it comes to fixing those kind of things, it either varies by whether or not we have the expertise to fix it ourselves.
Or the time.
And then also, if we want to get on someone's list to help them, have them help us fix it, it just really depends on their availability and whether or not we can afford them. So, yeah, we honestly probably always have a little something on our to-do list.
Keeps things exciting.
Yeah. It's also important to use boat-safe products from a reputable supplier, too, when you're trying to maintain and fix your boat. So you can look at somebody like West Marine or houseboatparts.com to make sure you're getting products to repair your boat and maintain it. That is from a reputable supplier that's not going to mess up your boat or also the water that you keep your boat in. First, we're going to talk about washing and detailing your houseboat. We tend to wash our houseboat, I would say, like top to bottom, the exterior once per year. And we do the interior as often as we want to ourselves, pretty much every time we come here. We, in the past, have tried to DIY clean the exterior of our houseboat, and it went okay.
It's a big task.
It's just a really big task. So what we tend to do now is once a year we get on, around this time actually every year, on the list from our marina to have the exterior of our houseboat cleaned. We make sure that they use boat safe soap and also marine safe soap to wash our houseboat, and they do the top, the bottom, the top deck, the sides, and also the isinglass.
The isinglass and inside on the lower decks as well.
Yes. And in the in-between, we will scrub with a cute little scrubber that's a boat-specific scrubber, the top deck when it gets dirty, especially after houseboat camping. We tend to dirty it up pretty good. So we will maintain the beauty of the top deck by ourselves in between the annual cleanings. This might seem like a no-brainer to wash your boat, but it's something to make sure that you take seriously to help prevent the buildup of mildew and grime. Not to mention, it will also keep your houseboat looking shiny and brand new.
And it'll be very clean when guests come over to come visit.
Yes, exactly. Most importantly. We then check for cracks and also missing zip ties every time that we come to the houseboat, particularly after a bad storm. I think every single time we come up here after it rains, we're missing a zip tie, at least one.
At least one or two.
So it's important to make sure that you repair that as soon as you can. We always keep zip ties on hand downstairs, and it's something that's actually kind of fun. We're hoping Claire will like to do as she gets older. We also want to check for the cracks in the fiberglass too and repair those as soon as we can because that can really become a problem. If we lived in the salt water, we would definitely wash our houseboat more than just once a year from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
But since we don't necessarily have to battle that saltwater element. And since we also have an aluminum hull, we don't really have to maintain that either in freshwater, which is a really huge plus of not living in salt water, even though we like the beach.
We love the beach.
We won't mind.
When it comes to the washing and detailing, one thing that we know we need to do, or something that we're going to have someone do for us, is wax the outside. It's starting to show a little bit of oxidation on the side, kind of that chalky looking color and feel. So that's something that we're going to have done in the next couple months, since we're not under a covered slip, is to get everything waxed. We know it'll look brand new and shiny, and keep all the dirt and grime off as well.
Yeah, the paint's chipping a little bit too, so we definitely probably ought to wax that boat.
Yeah. The second item on preventative maintenance and just general care for your boat is winterization. We've done a whole series on winterizing our houseboat. You can check them out right here and in the link down in the description below. The short story here is that it really doesn't get cold enough for long enough where we are to fully winterize our boat, where we would take the water out of the engine blocks and the generator. The lake that we're on here will never get to freezing, and so the thermal inertia will keep the engine compartment into the 40s. And as an added layer of precaution, we have an extreme heater that we have down in our bilge that automatically turns on when the temperature drops below 45 degrees. So that window between 45 and 32 gives it enough time to warm up all the air in the engine compartment. We've had the extreme heater for 2 winters now. It's done an amazing job. They're made right here in Beaufort, Georgia. A number of people on our dock have them as well. And that's about what we do for winterizing our boat, is putting our extreme heater in there. We will cover off the vents to make sure that the cold air doesn't blow out. And so far so good. And we're hoping that that's all we have to do when it comes to winterizing our houseboat. But be sure to check out the series right here and in the description below. So if we're going to talk about the mechanical things, I think we'll get a little bit of a change of scenery. We'll see if Jesse can hold the camera while I'm down in the engine compartment and don't hurt myself too much. I'm going to be 40 this year, but let's change of scenery and let's get down to the engine compartment. And the third and final area of preventative maintenance are all things mechanical, such as the generator, which is where I'm standing, the engines on either side of me, our HVAC heat pump, which is over here, the batteries, which run some of the lights inside the boat, start the engine and the generators, and the navigational lights on the front and the top. The engines that we have on our houseboat are Mercruiser 5.0 liter engines, and the manufacturer recommends that we change the oil every 100 running hours or 3 years, whichever comes first. And while we're talking about the engines, and on that same maintenance schedule is the impellers that pulls up the fresh water to run around the engines and keep them cool. Also every 100 running hours or every 3 years. I recommend that you take a look at your engine, the manufacturer specs and recommendations, and follow those guidelines. Our generator is the biggest consumer of energy and gas on board. So this is a Westerbeek generator, and the manufacturer also recommends that we change the oil every 100 running hours or once per season. And they also recommend to changing the impeller every 100 hours and every other season. We use our generator quite a bit, so changing it once a season or 100 hours is probably going to happen once a year for us. The other components down here in the engine compartment are the house batteries and the engine and generator batteries. If these are lead acid, which these are, we would recommend that you check those on a regular basis and top them off with any distilled water. We have a multi-phase battery charger here to keep them running in tip-top shape, but because they are exposed to some very wild temperature swings, 45 in the winter, probably upwards of 100 degrees in the summertime, it's not the easiest on a battery, so these should last about every 3 to 5 years. But nothing stinks more than coming up on a fresh spring day only to find out that you have dead batteries. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, especially on a warm summer day. The other aspect Our heat pump, we want to regularly check that the HVAC on our houseboat, it's one just like you might have in your home, is that the refrigerants are at the proper level, and we're always cleaning the air filters inside of the boat to make sure that we can get proper airflow and it's not putting more pressure and stress on the HVAC system than should be. These are the things that we recommend doing as far as preventative maintenance. However, I would really strongly advise that everyone take a look at the manufacturer's information that came with their boat or houseboat, engines, generator, and all the other electrical components. Spend some time and read through that. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different variables that can go into each different boat. And while most of what we provided here is a very strong baseline, doing your own research and homework is something that I would really recommend as well. We do have a few more things on our to-do list, so stick around because later this year we're going to talk about those to-do list items that we're still working on now. And it really means a lot to us if you would like and subscribe on the buttons down below. It lets us know that you're enjoying this content and that we're going to be able to keep creating it for you. Spring's right around the corner. Hope everyone's looking forward to warmer weather and warmer days, and we're looking forward to seeing y'all out on the water.